Hello there, my name is Simon Lines, aka Mwalimu, and welcome to class. Today being the first lesson, I want to do a very nice introduction to photography, and I want to do two things in this particular introduction. Number one, I want to define and make sense of the definition of photography, and number two, I want to share a few genres of photography that can be of interest to you in case you become a photographer, that you can try out, because in photography there's what we call specialization, because photography is wide and you have so many types of photography. So without further ado, let's do this. So let's begin with this particular question. What is photography? Photography has very many definitions, but one of the most popular ones is photography is the art of painting with light, or also framed as photography is the process of using light to create images in a camera. Okay, so I'm going to make sense of the definition of photography as the art of painting with light. Whether you're using a modern day digital camera or the old school film camera, at the point of you creating the image, there's going to be a medium to store light. Then there's going to be a scene in front of the camera. Then the scene in front of the camera is going to get transferred to the medium, which can be a film in the olden days or a sensor in the modern days. Then the scene in front of the camera is going to be painted or transferred using light to that particular medium. Then it is going to get stored either in an SD card or in a film before it is processed in the darkroom. So that's why they define photography as the art of painting with light, because as you can see, we are using light to paint the scene in front of the camera on the camera sensor or on the film strip that we have in the camera. So that's why we define photography as the art of painting with light. Makes sense? I hope so. So when you get into photography, you're going to get a variety of types of photography, because when you read your newspaper, there's going to be a photo. When you go to town and Mothaiga, there's going to be photos on billboards. When you go to the supermarket, there's going to be photos on the shelf of items and things like that. So photography is so broad, and in case you want to become a photographer, it is very nice and crucial of you to understand the different types of photography. So maybe you can actually identify which one is close to a kind of interest, or which one might be easier for you to start. For example, because if you're already a sports person and you go to watch maybe a soccer match every other weekend because you love soccer, and you get a camera, it is very easier for you to get into sports photography than getting into wildlife photography. So without further ado, I'm going to explain a few genres of photography as I have listed here on my whiteboard, and maybe guide someone who's getting into photography on one of the types of photography that they can maybe have interest in trying out. So without further ado, let's go here and let's go to my board. So I have them listed here, I think more than 20 of them. I'm going to start with the first one, which is portrait photography. So this is taking photos of people with the aim of capturing the essence, the aesthetics and the emotion of people. Okay, so that involves going to arboretum on Saturday and shooting families and things like that. Closely tied to portrait photography, we have headshot photography. But the difference between headshot photography and portrait photography is headshot photography is purely based on taking headshots of people, most of the time for formal use. For example, applying for visas, or maybe applying for jobs, or making company profiles and websites and things like that. So that is the headshot photographer. Then we have the event photographer. Of course, the event photographer is going to be covering events. They're going to be covering your birthdays. They're going to be covering national ceremonies. They're going to be covering anything that is happening in the form of an event, and someone has been hired to cover that particular event in the form of taking photos. That is an event photographer. So then we have sports photography. Yes, sports is an event, but we have sports as a genre of photography, because we have people who only specialize in shooting football, in shooting tennis, in shooting basketball, in shooting golf and things like that. So anyone who's going to be shooting sports specifically is going to be a sports photographer. Okay, so then we have landscape photography. So these are the kind of photographers who take photos of landscapes. So you go to a place like maybe Magadi with beautiful scenery and beautiful landscapes, and you take wide photos showing part of the ground and part of the sky, and maybe whatever is in it is going to be qualified as landscape photography. Then after that we have documentary photography. So documentary photography is about telling the people, or telling the stories of people by documenting the things that those people are going through as they are in. So documentary photographers are only going to be reporting what is happening and not interfering in the scene or staging the scene like how maybe a fashion photographer or a portrait photographer can do. Okay, that is then you have architectural photography. So this is a kind of photography that involves shooting architectural projects, either at the point of consolidation, shooting models, shooting concepts, shooting the models as they are being made up and things like that. So then closely tied to architecture photography, you have real estate photography. And the difference is real estate photography purely deals with real estate, that is shooting houses, showcasing them as property, as lifestyle and things like that. So then we have what we call nature photography. So this is photography that dwells with shooting different aspects of nature. You go and shoot oceans, skies, and things like that. So any photography that deals with capturing the essence and the beauty or the lack of beauty of nature is going to qualify as nature photography. So then you have aerial photography. Aerial photography is mostly photography that is done from above. Nowadays we use drones, and back then they used to use planes. But for those photographers who specialize in shooting from above, most of the time using a drone nowadays, are going to be qualified as aerial photographers. Then you have food photographers. So these are the people who shoot photos of food for recipes, for making menus, for marketing, catering companies, hotels, and things like that, or chefs. So then you have photojournalism. So this is the use of photography to as an addition to your journalism or a journalistic work. So if you're a journalist, then you use photography as part of it or as an addition to whatever you're doing. For example, you write an article, then you shoot photos for that, you're going to qualify as a photojournalist. So then you have street photography. So this kind of photography mainly deals with capturing the essence and the beauty and the happenings of street life, from showing people to showing buildings and things like that. That is what we call street photography. So then you have macro photography. Macro photography is close to nature photography, but the difference is macro photography is really magnified, shows things that are really magnified. So maybe you take this particular pen that I'm using and you really zoom into this writing tip to the point that you can see the fibers that make it, or maybe you shoot a very close up photo of a housefly or a grasshopper and things like that. That is macro photography. So then we have wedding photography, of course. These are people who are going to be covering weddings as their kind of work, and have a lot of this happening in the country. Then we have commercial photography. So these are people who shoot work of commercial nature, for example, advertising, billboards, and things like that. So people who shoot work of commercial nature, that images that are going to be used to sell things commercially, are called commercial photographers. So then you have fine art photographers. So these are photographers who create art using photography. So they have nicely intricate ideas that are made to put together, sometimes using people, sometimes without people, for the purpose of communicating a deeper meaning of that particular photo or a deeper meaning of that particular kind of art. Is called fine art photography. So then you have product photography. So if you hire me to shoot this number of pens, these pens for selling them online, I'm going to be working as a product photographer, because I'm taking photos of products specifically for commercial use. Okay, then after that we have astrophotography. So astrophotography deals with shooting aspects of astro and the sky, shooting the night sky, shooting stars, shooting the moon, and things like that. Then you have fashion photography. So this is photography that deals with showcasing fashion, either shooting outfits, shooting designs, shooting fashion events and runways and things like that. Then you have wildlife. So this is a genre of photography that deals with going to Masai Mara and shooting lions. So the purpose of the purpose of wildlife photography is to showcase wildlife in its essence, in its beauty, and in its purpose of maybe sharing conservation messages or sharing marketing tourism destinations. Okay, then the last one is travel, and this involves you traveling from place to place, maybe in the same country to another one, as you document and showcase the beauty of those places using photography. So that in a nutshell is a number of genres that I've shared with you, not all of them but some of them. And that brings me to the end of this particular video, because I'm going to be limiting the length of these videos to 10 minutes maximum, unless it is very necessary for me to make it longer. So that was the first video. I explained what photography is as the art of painting with light. Then I've shared a few genres of photography that you can maybe think of specializing in once you get into photography, or if you're already in and you don't know you can specialize. These are some of the genres that you can try out and maybe see what works best for you. So with that small introduction, I hope to see you guys in the next one, because I'm going to be doing a lot of videos back to back, sometimes even 2 or 3 videos a day, as Mwalimu takes back his throne and becomes the teacher he's supposed to be. So see you guys in the next one.